Han Meditations. Now we're getting somewhere spicy.
So, our voice and our mind and the thoughts we hear all the time, 24/7.
Yep.
We are so attached to them. We think it's us because we hear it constantly and it's in our own mind.
You hear it.
But it's not you.
But if you hear it,
exactly.
It's an object, guys.
I mean,
come on, man. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. If you hear it, it's an object,
and as
man.
He says,
that's crazy, Kelly.
Then comes the Muslim or the Christian and says, well, God is formless and these Hindus have got it wrong. Smash these images and destroy the temples. No, it's an incomplete idea of God you have got. It leads to fanaticism. It leads to hatred. It leads to violence. It is what is called in Vedanta, in yoga also, raga dvesha, likes and dislikes. Strong likes and dislikes. See, what is the problem with strong likes and dislikes? Practically, it's all right. People can have preferences. We'll automatically have preferences. However, deep within, we should not hold on to these preferences as ultimately true. Because if it is a non-dual reality, then whatever we are experiencing, whether we prefer it, whether we don't prefer it, whether we love it or whether we hate it, it must be the same reality. The same Brahman in our friends and in what we consider to be our enemies. In people like us and in what we see as people different from us. In human beings and in non-human beings. In living beings and in non-living things. It must be the same background reality somewhere. Otherwise, non-duality cannot be true. When we have this idea of non-duality, it translates into Purnam. And that is what you see, if you look at the enormous breadth and richness of the Sanatana Dharma of Hinduism. The non-dualistic schools, dualistic schools, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita, all the different schools. How can it be such extraordinary variety can happily coexist with each other? Even a lot of Hindus don't understand this. So there have been occasionally, reform schools. No, we must not worship images. And therefore, let's have a reformed Hinduism without image worship. And there were reform movements always. That's all right. Hinduism is fine with that too. Sri Ramakrishna came up as a bulwark against this silliness. He comes and quite unapologetically, he goes and worships an image. And the image of Kali, Bhavatarini Kali, in Dakshineshwar. And reaches enlightenment, not just enlightenment. The range and breadth of his spiritual experiences is unparalleled in the history of spirituality. Show me one other instance of such extraordinary samadhis, of such extraordinary mystical experiences, of such extraordinarily universal teachings. No, you cannot find another example like that. That's why Vivekananda said, if image worship can produce one like Ramakrishna, worship 1,000 images, I say. So, Purnam, a capacious idea of the divine. If the divine is worshipped as Shiva, the male form, as Parvati or Durga, or Kali and Lakshmi in the female form, as Ganesha. If your God cannot be an elephant-headed God, it's an incomplete God. But if your God is only the elephant-headed God, it's also an incomplete God. So where does this extraordinarily capacious idea of divinity come from? From Purnam. It includes all of it. Last time we did Buddhism, and you can say this sounds very different from it. That sounds very minimal. Extraordinarily logical and minimal. Philosophically austere. This sounds very maximal, inclusive of anything and everything. What this does is, it frees us from raga dvesha, from thinking that this alone must be right and that cannot be right. It frees us from fanaticism. It frees us from thinking that only Sri Ramakrishna, one thing he did not like at all, he would say again and again. In Bengali he said, Matuar buddhi, dogmatic attitude. He said, never set a limit to what God can be. Never set a limit to the infinitude of that ultimate reality. That comes from this Purnam. The fullness of what is experienced here and there. In the cause and in the effect. It's the same reality. All right, I still haven't started. Now I'm going to... If you ask those great philosophers, Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, if you gave them this Purnam idea, what would they say? They would smile tolerantly and would say, that's cute, but it doesn't stand to reason. You must establish it on the basis of reason and experience. So that's what Advaita Vedanta sets out to do. This vision was there. In the Vedas itself, this vision was there of this Purnam. This Purnamada, Purnamidam comes from the Vedas. But how do you make it a logical philosophy, a logical worldview or God view, whatever you call it? And how do you experience it, make it part of your living, your lived life? So here goes. Advaita Vedanta, I will take the Advaitic philosophy, which establishes this Purnam. It says, the unique thing about Advaita Vedanta is that it's not a philosophy or spiritual path which says that there's something else to be attained. What you get in Advaita Vedanta is what you have always had. Something, and what you remove in Advaita Vedanta is something that was never there. I always say it sounds like a con job. There was this snake oil salesman in the Wild West, and he was arrested and brought before the magistrate by the sheriff on charges of offering cures to non-existent diseases and real cures to imaginary diseases and imaginary cures to real diseases. So Advaita Vedanta sounds like that. When it says, what will you get after all of this? You will get what you always had. And what will you remove? What will you get rid of? What will you improve after all of this? Said what was never there. That's what you're going to get rid of. In Sanskrit, this is called praptasya prapti, nivrittasya nivritti. But they mean it, praptasya prapti means attaining what is already attained. Nivrittasya nivritti means removing, negating, curing, something that was never there. But what does it mean then? It is because of our ignorance, what is already attained, what was always there, seems to be not there. Advaita Vedanta says, you are Brahman. You are not this body, not this mind. You are limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. And you are that right now, whether you know it or not. Whether you believe it or not. Whether you think you're experiencing it or not. Advaita Vedanta says, it's right there. It's already attained. It's just because of ignorance, it feels like, no, I don't know this. I don't experience this. I don't see this. I've told you sometimes about this class I used to attend of Ashtavakra Samhita from a great teacher in the Himalayas, in Gangotri. And sometimes, teaching us this doctrine, this teaching, he would look at us and he would say, oh monks, whether you believe it or not, whether you experience it or not, the truth is, you are Rama. Tum jano ya na jano, mano ya na mano, tum hi Ram. Your Rama means you're God. You're one with God. And what does it remove? Samsara. I am here in spiritual life because I am suffering. Like the Buddha said, there is suffering. So the first noble truth. And that has to be removed. I am suffering. I am going through birth. I'm afraid of birth and death, this cycle of birth and death. I'm terribly afraid of death. I'm afraid of old age and sickness. I'm afraid of financial ruin. And I'm suffering from the miserable behavior of others. Or from generally the suffering of humanity and other living beings in this world. There is so much suffering here. I'm suffering, and spirituality promises to take me beyond suffering. Every religious path gives you a solution. In this way, you will go beyond suffering. In samadhi or by going to heaven or something like that. The Advaitic path tells you that yes, this suffering actually, what you're thinking, it's always removed. You are beyond suffering. It's because of ignorance that you think that you're in suffering. All right. So this sounds very crazy. It sounds cool. I think Americans will love it. It sounds kind of counterintuitive.
Okay, let's hear.
But how do we make sense of it? How do we make sense of the fact that right here, right now, I am that absolute truth, and I am beyond suffering. And so are we all. So Advaita Vedanta starts with experience. Not extraordinary experience, not mystical experience. See, the trick there is that someone might promise, all of this can be experienced, you don't have to believe it. But how do you experience it? Well, you put in the hard work of 40 years of meditation and then maybe you'll experience it. If you don't, better luck next life. That is no good. Advaita Vedanta says what we are talking about is right now. It is being experienced now, but you don't recognize it. You know what it's like? If Jim is here and I don't know who Jim is, and I'm looking at him and somebody introduces, that's Jim. I say, oh, I see. Now I get it. That's Jim. Did I see somebody new? No. I was already looking at him. But I just recognized that this is Jim. Advaita Vedanta is like that. It brings us to see what is already there, but we never saw it earlier. The beautiful story of the washerman's diamond. The washerman found a diamond, but he didn't know what the diamond was. He just thought it's a rock. It's an odd-looking rock. And in India, washermen, they will take your laundry out to the river bank and they will slam it on the rocks. And they'll wash it. They'll get it clean, but you'll be horrified at what they do to the fabric. And then they'll scrub it clean. And they use that rock. So he used to use this diamond to scrub dirty clothes. And he didn't know he had got something that could remove all his poverty. But he was curious. This rock is different from all other rocks. So let me ask my friend, the vegetable seller. And the vegetable seller was a little more thoughtful than the washerman. And he said, well, this rock, it's pretty. So I'll give you a bag of brinjals for it. The washerman did not sell it. He took it to somebody else who knew a little more. Finally, he took it to a diamond merchant. And the diamond merchant said, this is a magnificent diamond. I'll give you millions of rupees for it. And so all the washerman's needs were removed. His poverty was gone forever. Now that's a parable. The parable points to the fact that we already have the rock. But like the washerman, we don't know that it's a diamond. And Advaita Vedanta is like the diamond merchant who wants to introduce us to it so that all our problems are solved immediately. So what is this rock, which we all have already, right now? It is experience. In Sanskrit, anubhava. What experience? All experience. Any experience. All right now I'm going to begin. Introducing us to the rock. So follow closely. Experience, when we look at our experience, which experience? All experience. Notice one thing about experience. All experience has this structure. In every experience you find, I am the subject and this is the object. Subject and object. Look around right now, all the time. And right now, I am the subject. Take it in a very naive way. Don't be too non-dualistic and just in a very straightforward way. Here I am the subject, and here is the object, the objective universe. I can see people, I can see chairs and the hall, I can see the road and the trees outside and the sunlight, all of that. And I can not only see, I can hear and smell and taste and touch. This is, I am the subject and I'm experiencing the object. What else appears to me? Before doing any Vedanta, just common sense. I, the subject, seem to be this body. It is instinctive. I am this body. And it seems to me this world of objects is continuously changing. I am sort of unchanging because I have been there since my childhood, as far as I remember, from babyhood. And I guess I will live for some more time. So although I am unchanging, see the paradox of it. Although I feel I am the same one, but I feel I am going to die. And this world is continuously changing, but I feel this will go on. It existed before me and it will continue to exist after me. Right? That's what we feel instinctively. I'm going to die. And not only that, I am dependent on this world of objects for everything. For my pleasure, for my entertainment, for my very sustenance. The world provides me with food without which I would die. The world provides me with air without which I would suffocate in a minute. The world provides me with shelter and with friends, and with knowledge, with entertainment. When I'm bored, there is the TV or the internet. When I want to study, there are books. Everything that is good, worthwhile, and gives me happiness is provided by the world. Or at least, even if it's not provided, often it's withheld. And I am dependent on the world for all my happiness. True. On the other hand, the world also provides me with a lot of suffering. There is disease and pain which the world can inflict upon me. And there is physical pain, emotional pain inflicted by the behavior of other people and what's going on in the world. All my suffering seems to be caused by the object. And all possibility of happiness and nice, pleasant is the object. I am dependent helplessly upon the object. And very soon I will be crushed out of existence, dead. This is what appears to me in experience. Now bring Vedanta into play. Vedanta introduces, the first thing it introduces is a simple observation. You are the subject, right? Yes. And you experience, right? Yeah. And what do you experience? The object. That's true. Notice that the subject and the object cannot be the same thing. Object is what you experience, and subject is you, the experiencer. Notice also, consciousness or awareness is always on the side of the subject. I, the subject, am conscious of what? Of the object, and of also myself. So consciousness is on my side. You might say, why can't consciousness be on the object side? After all, there are so many conscious beings. But notice, when we look at the object, whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, they are objects but not consciousness. I can see you, I can see your body, I can hear your voice, I can see your behavior. If I'm a telepath, I can look into your mind and see your thoughts also, or experience your thoughts, but I can never objectify your consciousness, your awareness. So the subject is that which experiences and is separate from the object. And the subject is also conscious. The object, consciousness is never object. It is always the subject. Now if we apply that, then we see something remarkable happening. The first result which emerges from it is, when we look at ourselves, the subject, we notice what seemed instinctive to us, that I am the subject. Where is the subject? Here. But then here, this body, am I not aware of the body? Yes, I am. And the principle is, whatever you are aware of is an object. And you are the subject, which is awareness. Or at least awareness is on your side. So if I'm aware of the body by definition must be an object, like this. This, like the clothes that I'm wearing, object. Then in this case, this body, it is an object. In fact, it's an object to all my senses. I can see it, I can touch it, I can smell it, taste it, even hear it, the sounds of the heartbeat or your tummy rumbling. All my five senses objectify the body. The body, I begin to discover, is an object. Just like things out there, it's a thing. It's a remarkable thing. It's an extraordinary biological machine. But it's still a thing. And anything that is an object to consciousness it cannot be the subject. Till now I thought I, the subject, I am this one, but I now realize this is the world of objects and part of it is the body. And that's common sense. You don't need Vedanta for it. It's just a little bit of reflection shows, yes, just as this body is an object to my doctor, the doctor who prods it and probes it and scans it and tests it, it's an object. It's a biological living object. For me also it's a biological living object. It may be the vehicle I'm embodied in right now, but still it's an object. And to me, the consciousness, quite palpably so.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. Wow. Wow. Whoa. 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 Now we're getting somewhere spicy.
This is the good stuff.
Now it's getting crazy. This is what ooh. This is right up my alley right now. Oh my gosh. This is Han approved. Man, I'm excited just hearing this kind of stuff. We have a lot to go through. So, woo, as you can tell, I've been taking notes. So let's just go through some of this stuff, man. This is just, woo, this is exciting information right here. So I'm so excited, as you can tell. So, okay, so we have, if you have strong attachments, which is what we were excited about because we were just talking about having attachments in Buddhist philosophy. And if you have strong attachments, likes and dislikes, this leads to hatred. This leads to war. People need to realize that. If you love something so much, it leads to hatred. If you love, women's rights and you're just all about women, you love it, it leads to hatred in men. If you're all about men, it leads to hatred and resentment in women. It goes with anything. This is what wars are fought over because people love resources. People love items. People love something made up called money. People love this stuff. So if you love something that much, it's going to lead to war. It's going to lead to hatred. It's going to lead to killing. It's going to lead to negativity upon the world. That's what people need to realize. And so the non-dualistic transforms into Purnam. So what's non-dualistic? What's dualistic? That means two things, multiple things. Oneness is Purnam. So non-dualistic leads to Purnam. And then that Purnam frees us from that dogmatic attitude in which we limit what can be God. We can limit what can be this, what can be that, instead of just relaxing and releasing that information and realizing that everything is God. Is there anything you want to touch on? Because I'm just so excited about this whole thing, Kelly.
Yeah, that's really good. Where he just left off, I really want to get into that part. But it's exactly right. If you're it's just all about the attachment. If you're really, really attached to something, it's just going to build it just builds up negative emotions one way or the other, whether it is, you having hatred for the opposite, or say you lose that thing that you have such strong attachments for, that's going to hurt as well. And that's going to eventually cause negative emotion as well. So As we were just saying before he said it, all attachment is not good. We have to be in the flow. We have to be in acceptance. So. Yep.
So, okay. So you wanted to talk about more of the end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll just go through what I want to get through then, and then we'll both talk about the end. But okay. So I love when he said what you get with the Vedanta is what you've always had, and what you lose is what you've never had. Wow. That is such a powerful statement and quote by Swami. I mean, that is absolutely just enlightening just in and of itself. What you get is what you've always had. What you lose is something you've never had. And people need to realize what that truly means and realize how far that goes, because everyone is looking for something that they don't have. People are looking for things and seeking validation in something that you don't even have, that's not real. Mm-hmm. Instead of realizing that you're an infinite being and that's truly all you need is infinity. All you need is the realization of that you are infinite, that you are greater than you know, that you are beyond this physical body. You are beyond space and time. You exist beyond space and time. You are an aspect of God. You are an aspect of Purnam. You are oneness. So you can't be defined by your body. You can't be defined by your mind. What you have is what you've always had. You just never realized it. So that it's just so awesome hearing him say these kind of things. And, you have to realize how limitless you are. And limitless is being experienced right now at all times. People need to realize that throughout all space and time, you are limitless. I mean, it's just so brilliant, so awesome to hear him talk about it. Like whenever he said, if you look at someone and you say, hey, my name is Jim. Oh, okay. I just learned your name. You're Jim. Or if you look at someone and they say, you meet them, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm actually the president of the United States. Oh, you're the president. Oh my God. I didn't know that. But you're looking at the person. You're looking at them the whole time. You knew that they were existing. You knew that, you're aware of them, but just hearing that little information adds a spark of awareness that you never had before. So it lets you learn more things. And that's what he's speaking of in Vedanta. It's just an awareness that you are limitless, an awareness that you are this infinite being. Man, I love this philosophy because this is what I preach.
Yeah, that one, it actually really reminds me of A Course in Miracles, the lessons in there, where it's kind of the same idea, but of course it's through the lens of Christianity. But it's teaching the same ideas. If you go through those daily lessons or read the text, it's the same thing where it's making you totally change your perspective. And, you know, everything you thought that you were makes you realize you weren't. And it makes you realize what you truly were. Like one of the quotes that I like from it is, "I am oneself, united with my creator, at one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and peace."
Wow.
So it reminds, it teaches those same type of ideas where it's slowly but surely making you think completely differently and making you realize everything you thought you were, you're not. And you're so much more than what you thought you were.
I love that, Kelly. I love that so much. And you're such a talented and beautiful mind. And you're going to help so many people just by reading that kind of information and doing this. And that's what this is all for, is helping people. And we're helping ourselves by helping people. That's, you know, how you truly experience enlightenment, and how you can truly change the world is by changing yourself and helping others to change. So let's keep going. He said that I am the subject of my life. And the world is always changing. So you believe that you're the subject of your life. As you grow up, you've always been in this body. You know who you are. You know, you see people around you change. You might move into different houses. You change through stages of life, but you're always you, and the world around you is always changing. Yet you still believe that you're going to die and the world is going to outlive you, which is absolutely an insane thing to think of. If, going back to how he said, you look at things logically and inquire logically. That doesn't make sense. So I love how he put that, and I love how he said that. And he explains how you're depending on the world, and all the suffering you get is from the world. All the positivity is caused by the world, which is an object. And, you know, but you're still the subject, and you experience the object. So it's the subject and the object cannot be the same thing. If you're looking at a table, you're not the table. You are you. You are the subject. The table's the object. The table's a thing. The table doesn't have a consciousness. So if I'm looking at Kelly, you know, not to objectify women, but her body is an object because I'm looking at it. It's a thing. That's not where her consciousness is. If I'm looking at her hand, her consciousness isn't in her hand. So you're objectifying it. It's a thing. This mouse that I have in my hand, it's a thing. This microphone is a thing. So you're the subject, but you're looking at different things, and you have to be aware of that. So you want to get into this, Kelly, because this is where it gets interesting, where he says the subject is conscious and separate from the object, but you have a body. And if you're aware of it, then it's an object.
Yeah, this is great stuff right here, because this part actually reminds me of this book I read, The Untethered Soul. You may have read it or heard of it. And it's really great, and it really helps you learn the same thing as well. That one is more so about teaching you that the voice in your head is not you, because you hear it, right? Yep. So you can't hear something and be it at the same time. So it's the same thing with your body.
Yep. I remember you telling me that. I love that. I love that, Kelly. Keep speaking. That's facts. That's fact. Keep going, man. That's woo.
Exactly.
He's spitting, guys. He's spitting. Keep going. Say that again. Say that one more time.
Our voice in our mind, the thoughts we hear all the time, 24/7.
Yep.
We are so attached to them. We think it's us because we hear it constantly, and it's in our own mind.
You hear it. You hear it.
But it's not you.
But if you hear it,
exactly.
It's an object, guys. I mean, come on, man. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. If you hear it, it's an object,
and as
man.
He says,
that's crazy, Kelly.
It has, by the formula, it has to be an object. So it's the same with our body. And I don't know if you guys, I've had a couple really deep experiences like this, typically after being in the bathtub, if I'll meditate for a bit. But you can think of it like this. If you ever had a lucid dream and like that moment that you become aware in the lucid dream, you're like, oh, I'm in a lucid dream. I can literally do whatever I want. And I've had that a couple times in real life. And it's a really, really deep feeling. And it's like that really full awareness where you actually truly, truly, truly realize that you are just in your body and you can do whatever you want. And it sounds so simple, but it feels so magnificent when you feel it. And you really come to that realization that you're like, oh, wow, like I am just in this body. Like you are an actual avatar, which we kind of are, because we are not our bodies. We are our souls. We are our consciousness.
Yep.
And this is just our tool. It really is. It's not us. It is just our tool. We are inside of here and we can use it and we can do whatever I want. We are always constantly deciding, you move this, you move your finger, you pick this up, you go here, you go there. You're the one controlling it and you are directing it. So we are not our bodies. And I was actually just reading a Dolores Cannon book last night, Convoluted Universe, talking about Atlantis. And it was saying that they had the power to move consciousness into animals and things like this. So it goes to show that we're not our bodies at all. If they had the power to take our consciousness, the people of Atlantis.
Oh, I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah, the people of Atlantis could, take a consciousness and put it into an animal and be that consciousness in the animal's body. So our body is not us.
Yeah, and even Thoth the Atlantean said that, if you go back and read the Emerald Tablets, he said he had an avatar body and he could do that. But I love how he says that all five senses objectify the body. If it is an object to the subject, then it cannot be the subject. So that is just so incredible. This is just so exciting, man. I love this kind of video, man. I love this stuff, guys.
I think it's just starting to
it's starting to heat up. I breathe this stuff, as you know. If you guys are watching this, as well. I mean, this is what needs to be out in society every day. So, okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you want to see the other parts, go ahead and look in the description.
On the screen.
Exactly, on the screen or in the description. We'll put them all. And then at the end, we're going to have the full video so you guys can watch over an hour of footage. So thank you for watching.